full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Open the pod bay doors now.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I am nothing! No!
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cinemaze, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. Today I'm joined by Tom and Spencer, who've been on the podcast before, as well as Oliver, also known as Neens, who's making his debut. Boys, thanks for coming onto the show. How are you going?
Good, mate. Thanks for having us.
Good, thanks, Mike.
Thanks for having me again. Keen to hear Neens' thoughts today. Very excited.
Let's do it. Very keen. So in this episode, we'll be talking about one of the biggest releases of the year, Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski, starring the iconic Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. And while we do that, we'll be drinking some iced lattes and some juice and some water.
Yep.
Now, because we're talking about Top Gun, it's only fitting that we all have naval call signs that we call ourselves throughout the episode. So, boys, what have we all got?
My one was Bullet. So
Okay,
I'm,
Tom is
I'm
Bullet.
Bullet.
Dark Star for me. Thank you to the Top Gun generator.
Yeah, I just did one. Spencer Dark Fae. I might just go again because Dark Star isn't. Yeah, let's just go with Dark then. I'll be Dark. You can be Dark Star.
Sounds good.
What are you?
You dark boys, I am Omelette.
Omelette.
Omelette. Alrighty. So
That's terrible.
Might need a refresh on that one.
So as always, make sure you're following Cinemates on your chosen streaming platform and leave a 5-star review. Also check out the Cinemaze YouTube channel where I post video essays on film and TV characters. Now getting into it, to listeners out there who haven't listened yet, we like to get an idea of who our guests are and what they like to watch. Tom and Spencer have already answered these questions. So we'll just do Ollie today. Ollie, first question, most memorable movie that you saw in cinemas?
Definitely Avatar. I saw that with my dad when I was around 14. I think in Westfield, Chatswood, and it couldn't
Nice.
even be a 3D session, so
Yeah.
that was good. But even the last movie I saw, Top Gun, with Spencer and Mike was up there with the best for sure.
Nice.
Jumping with joy.
Absolutely.
Ear to ear smiles, etc.
You mean Dark and Omelette.
You're on there.
All right, Dark Star. Next question, fastest TV show binge?
Yellowstone.
Nice.
Straight off the bat. It was, although the last season was a letdown, it was the first 3 seasons, I reckon I went through that pretty quick.
You two both did it in pretty disgusting time.
Yeah. Well, I had to catch up, so I just pumped the whole thing.
You didn't need to do it that
I still haven't
fast,
seen
though.
it.
Yeah. Next question, favorite Australian movie?
Lion with Dev Patel.
Great
Film.
flick.
That's a
Set in
tearjerker.
beautiful Tasmania down there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really love that movie.
such a good film. A movie that you think everyone needs to see?
A Beautiful Mind with
Oh,
Russell Crowe.
Jennifer Connelly.
Nice.
One
Getting
of my
to her.
favorites. Yeah, I think that's just like the best mix of like inspiring and also
True events.
Yeah, true events as well. So that's right up there.
What about the pen scene when
It's
he gets the
incredible.
Nobel Prize?
It's incredible.
One of the great
So
scenes.
good.
Tearjerker for sure.
Yeah. Next question. Hey, how you going? Next question. Favorite streaming service?
Well, I've only got 2, unlike you boys. So probably just have to be Netflix or Stan.
Nice.
Nice. Good answer.
Traditional.
TV show that you're watching at the moment?
I'm actually not watching a show, so I could be
Okay.
open to some suggestions.
What have you been watching?
Geez, the last one I watched would have been like, I don't know. I've only been watching movies, so
Okay.
yeah. Anything that jumps out, feel free to let me know.
Miss
Fair enough.
Marvel.
Neens is a big, or Dark Star would be a big Miss Marvel fan. I
Maybe for your
reckon.
birthday, I'll get you a Disney
Is that
Plus
a-
subscription.
Star Wars, Marvel,
favorite.
Yeah.
favorites. So into the elevator pitch. In the last episode, we had a Cinemates elevator pitch from Josh, who recommended Killing Eve. Have you seen this TV show, boys?
No.
I haven't, but I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's on Stan, and I'd always kind of seen it on billboards and things and never really taken much interest, but Josh recommended it, and it was actually really good. Very interesting character that Jodie Comer plays. She's excellent. It's basically like a cat and mouse sort of spy chasing a hitman. Jodie Comer is the hitman. Watched a few episodes in quick succession. Really cool locations across Europe and some funny banter kind of laced in through the action scene. So great recommendation, Josh. It's on Stan, so if you haven't seen it, go check out Killing Eve. And for the next elevator pitch, this episode we've got my brother James. So let's hear what he's recommending.
G'day Mike, it's your brother Jim here. Today I'll be pitching the 2021 British film Boiling Point by Philip Barantini. As a connoisseur of all things food and restaurants, I thought this was definitely one for you. The film follows a troubled head chef played by Stephen Graham as we spend one night in his trendy and incredibly busy London restaurant. The film is a short, sharp and highly stressful 90 minutes, with the director using a continuous one-shot style as we weave between the head chef, his staff and his customers throughout the night. Enjoy.
Alrighty, Boiling Point. Have you seen? Anyone seen Boiling Point?
No.
Good, I
haven't
watched
heard
it
of
late last
Sounds pretty
year.
good, though.
Oh, any
Yeah,
good?
Good flick. It's in and out, hour and a half minute movie. It's very tense.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really, really good. Really well acted as well.
Nice. Stephen Graham.
Compared to Burnt, have you seen?
Oh, a lot better than Bert. A lot better than Bert.
Very good.
Burn gets a lot of hate
We're
on
just
this
never going
podcast.
to let that one down, are we?
No, Tom's recommendation. Yeah, look, I've heard great things about Boiling Point. Heard it's quite underrated, but I'll give it a go, James, and we'll see how it is. Now, getting into Top Gun Maverick, to the listeners out there who haven't seen the film yet, boys, what would you say about the movie in one word?
I'll go with thrilling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
I think for people who haven't seen Top Gun, my one word would be why. Haven't
Why?
you seen the movie yet? Yeah.
Okay, nice.
and amazing for me.
Nice, Dark Star. My one word is my one word is going to be how, as in how did they make this and how did they pull this off? So there's going to be some spoilers if you haven't seen it. Don't know what you're doing with yourself, so go watch it. But we'll be getting into it now. So boys, what are your overall thoughts?
I thought this was incredible. This movie had no business being this good at all.
No.
I'm not a big sequel guy. I'm very doubtful. But yeah, I was just blown away. Seen
Yeah.
it twice. Probably need to see it a third time, I think.
Never stop. Yeah, I was very much the same. Because they announced it, 3 years ago?
Yeah, they
And
started filming in 18.
2018.
2018, yeah.
No
It was
way.
meant to come out early 2020, and then
Oh my
COVID happened, and they
God.
just kept delaying and
That's
delaying.
insane. Yeah, I heard that they were making. I was like, this is just another sequel money grab. Tom Cruise is just trying to squeeze every ounce out of this story. Wasn't that keen to see it. I didn't actually think I was going to see it at all. But then the reviews came out 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, blah, blah, blah. And then you said, let's go watch it. I was like, okay. I was still dragging my feet. This can't be good. But it's just an insane movie. So exhilarating and so glad that they waited to release it in cinemas because streaming would have just not done it justice.
No, not at all. Yeah, I think this movie really benefited coming off the back of COVID. Everyone was really ready for this kind of movie.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, as with my one word of how, the opening sort of sequence, which we'll get into later, you're seeing these planes flying at Mach 10 or whatever. And you're just how on earth did they actually film this? And the flight sequences are just insane.
It's all real too. It's all real effects, which
practical.
I really like. We love our Marvel movies, but it's a lot of it is CGI and special effects, and so it's just good going into a movie in this, and you can just tell that they filmed everything in the sky.
Yeah.
They were all trained, and it just makes for a whole better experience, in my opinion.
100%. And yeah, you're just sort of perplexed and mouth wide open the whole movie. Another thing as well, Hans Zimmer's score.
Mate, that score was incredible.
So
the whole
good.
thing I remember when I got in, I was sitting next to Spencer and Danger Zone came on for the first time. And I hadn't seen the first one, so I didn't really know what the movie was going to be about. I came in pretty raw. And the minute that song came on, I nudged him and I was like, this is a beat. Let's actually
First 30 seconds.
Oh, it's just such a good start to the movie.
Yeah.
And I think I've listened to that song 20 times.
I mean, yeah, even before that, when the titles come up even before Danger Zone, and you hear the gong.
Yeah.
And the
Dun, dun,
titles
dun,
come on,
dun.
you're just like,
Yeah.
because I hadn't seen Top Gun in that long either. And when you come into it with that, I think everyone in the cinema knew as soon as that started, you're like, okay, we're getting a real throwback callback movie here. So yeah, I think it set the movie up very well, that score.
Yeah. And like, you know, there's some absolute climax scenes, but the score just takes it to another level.
Hans Zimmer just rocking out on his guitar.
Yeah, literally. On that note, in terms of the story, one quick thing I wanted to touch on was I saw this video and this guy was explaining what a reversal is in movies. And it's basically where he talks about an example where a guy jumps out of a plane and then it's like, oh, no, he doesn't have a parachute. And then it's like, oh, but there's a parachute falling out of the sky over there. And then he gets it. And then he opens the parachute. Oh, but the parachute's broken. And it's like this seesaw of like something good happens, something bad happens. And this movie just had so many of them. You think they're going to die, but then someone saves them. And then this and then that. And it's just like, maybe some of it's a bit unrealistic, but you're just taken for a ride. And that's what's so great about the movie, I think. What about Miles Teller as well and Tom Cruise?
I love Mytel. I remember ever since Mytel.
Mytel was cracking, bro.
Everyone Project X.
Mytel was cracking, bro.
Oh, I love it, man. Whiplash. There's another good movie as well back in like 2013 called The Spectacular Now. He did with Shailene Woodley, like a little independent movie, just so good. I just love everything he does, and I'm just glad he's now in like a big movie, which everyone froths him over.
Well, was this the next one after Whiplash? If filmed in 2018?
Well, no, Whiplash was 2014. So he did a couple. He was in those Divergent movies.
Oh,
which were absolute trash.
Yeah,
and then he did
Fantastic Four.
He did some. There's a good movie he did with this guy Joseph Kosinski a couple years ago called Only the Brave.
Oh,
it's all those about firefighters.
Yeah,
and that's another tearjerker, and that's really good. That was like 2016 or 17, but. I'm just so glad he's in like a big blockbuster now that everyone gets to see him.
Yeah, such a good casting. And he's also like incredibly handsome in this movie. I was just like, I literally wrote in my phone.
Dark Star, man.
I wrote in my phone, handsome as fuck. That's what I wrote.
Have you seen all the TikTok edits about him?
No.
Oh, all these girls are just fangirling him over. The football scene on the beach.
Yeah, we'll get into the football scene.
That's so funny you say that because when we were in the movie watching, I kept out of the corner of my eye seeing you writing notes on your phone, and now that I know you were writing handsome as fuck during the
What else did I write?
Surprised you don't have a moustache today.
Yeah, the Top Gun like verified Facebook page like keeps posting all these things about them, and it's like a shirtless pic of Miles in the gridiron scene, and it's like Miles. That's the post.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What's he doing with his body in that shot?
we'll get into that. But yeah, great casting. He was excellent, and so was the rest of the crew. Glenn Powell. Yeah,
plays a really good dick, Glenn Powell. Great dick. Hangman, like he's so easy to hate, but God, he looks good in that movie.
He's also he's not bad. He's not like bad in a sense that like he's trying to make these guys crash either. Like he's not like a villain per se. He's kind of just like a cocky, confident guy.
Well, he's like Val Kilmer's character Iceman in the original, like, and then Rooster is like Maverick as well in the original.
He's very redeemable. Where like at the end, obviously, you just love the bloke.
Yeah. 100%. I think the other thing as well, like, there's other insane actors in this crew. Like, you've got Ed Harris, you got John Hamm, and then you got all these other young people, but they're all just pulling their weight.
Yep.
Great scenes. One thing I wanted to touch on as well, which I was looking into, like, when researching this, you obviously already mentioned the director, Kosinski. He did Tron Legacy, Oblivion, and he's also got Spiderhead, which is coming out this year. Like, if you were to talk about a Top Gun sequel with someone like that directing it, like, it's going to be good. Like, they're very underrated movies. You got cinematography was by Claudio Miranda, who did Zodiac, Benjamin Button, Life of Pi. Like, they're some crackingly visual movies. Screenplay, which I talked about before in terms of the writing of like reversals and how thrilling the story was. You got Eric Singer, who did American Hustle. You got Aaron Kruger, who did the Transformer movies, which maybe weren't great, but nonetheless, like
Trash.
action.
Well, yeah, this movie's about to overtake all of the Transformer movies
Really?
as Paramount's second highest gross. Yeah,
Box office.
Yeah.
What's
Wow.
the top?
Titanic with 2.2 billion,
Of course.
which
Yeah,
is just
little
basically
way to
uncatchable.
go. And then you got Chris McQuarrie, who did Usual Suspects, Jack Reacher. He's been a big collaborator with Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, Edge of Tomorrow. Like, just an insane team.
Yeah.
So I thought that was worth mentioning as
you
well.
can tell.
All right, just before we get into our favorite scenes, the story, quotes, and characters of Top Gun Maverick, we'll just take a short ad break. Okay, now getting into it, boys. Off the bat, what were some people's favorite scenes?
My favorite one was when the mission was well underway, and I think it was the two planes at the back, or maybe the ones at the front. But anyway, they like mound this corner and they turn the sharpest degree as they come around the bend, and it was just like the music really lifted, and it was it was a fucking really
Over the
inspiring.
river.
Yeah,
Over the river, you got
Yeah.
the planes coming around.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Yeah.
And it's all real, as you said.
Mine one was when Tom Cruise gets sent home by John Hamm, and John Hamm is like laying down the law. Okay, we've got a new time limit,
Oh,
but it's going to
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to increase the time
Yeah.
limit, so it gives you more time. And then you just see Tom Cruise get on the jet and then just do it himself, and they're all just watching him, and he does it in like 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they get him back, and he's like, "Okay, you can lead the show." And it's just like I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, "Is he going to do it? Is he going to miss
Yeah,
it?"
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just such a good scene.
So good. Also, like, in speaking about that, like, the mission that they had was just so impossible. Like, they've got a corkscrew in this, like, valley, can't go high because there's missiles.
Invert over the mountain.
Invert over the mountain, shoot a tiny 1 meter target, and then scale this mountain.
I don't realize how hard it is as well. Like when they're talking about, especially the last part, when they're like
Yeah.
scaling up the mountain, and they've got like, what is it, like 10 G's or something, and like I didn't realize like you can just pass out by all that weight that's on top of you. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So
the training that they
insane.
would have had to do, all those actors would have been fucked.
So fucked. And I think John Hamm is like, he says something like, "Oh, they got to do like 2 miracles like throughout this mission."
Yeah.
But then, as you said, Maverick just fucking beasts it and gets like a record time. And you're like, "Oh shit!" Like they're gonna do it. And I think just after that, I think it's Coyote and Phoenix. They're in like their pairing, and Coyote like locks out and passes out from all the force.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh shit!" Like he's gonna die. But then, yeah,
Everyone survives.
Everyone survives,
Except the TIE fighters.
Yeah, true. But yeah, it's just so thrilling. There were some incredible scenes for me. I think
that Mac 10 one as well at the
oh
start
yeah,
with the Blackbird really sets like it's a great start to the film.
yeah,
All the way like he ends up in that town and he's like, "Where am I?" And the kid's like, "Earth."
Another scene as well, like later on when he first get there and he starts teaching them, he does like he wants to see how good all the fighter jets are,
Yeah.
like all the pilots are, and he does like the manually like just like kills them. And
Yeah,
they all
yeah.
have to do the push-ups. He's like, "Oh, it just shows how good Maverick is compared to all the young pilots."
yeah,
Great little training scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
And like just talking about that, you'd think that a movie about some training simulations and like a mission would be so boring, but all these little details like get you more invested in it. Just on the Mac 10 scenes at the start, like I thought there was a really good shot where it's like in the atmosphere and you're seeing this like tiny speck of a plane like flying through and you're like, "Holy fuck," like this is, and that's at the start and you're like, "Wow, like what are we in for?"
I think the Iceman scene as well was really well done.
One of my favorites.
which
for
one?
sure,
Leading up to the movie, I thought he wasn't going to be in the movie.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
But I think they worked in his condition like to the script, obviously, and I think they did it in a really smart way, where they gave Cruise a good few minutes of just like pouring his heart out to the point where I was like, "Give this man a trophy."
and it was smart how they did it with
The keyboard and the
keyboard
computer
and everything like that.
typing.
Yeah, when he said when he
The world needs
typed
Maverick.
out, or he said it's time to let go to Maverick.
Yeah.
Iceman
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that, and the text was on there for like 30 seconds full stop at the end. That was like
There's like a pause. And
Always
then
a
he hits the full stop.
it literally wouldn't move for 30 seconds straight.
And so when he actually spoke, I don't know if you guys know, like he doesn't speak anymore. So
Yeah, yeah.
they actually used AI, combined all of his voices like from all his films. And
So that wasn't him speaking.
No. He
Oh,
was mouthing.
I
He
didn't
was
know that.
mouthing, and then
Oh,
they put
okay.
that over.
But you couldn't really tell it because
No,
it was
yeah, I
so
couldn't
well.
tell at all.
Done really well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was good as well because it was like pretty heartfelt, but they also had some like good banter as well. Like Iceman types out, "Who's the better pilot, you or me?" And like Maverick just starts laughing.
Yeah,
Like
you could
there's
definitely tell they were long-term friends in that for sure.
yeah.
And usually, like, text messages aren't that funny in movies. Like, they're just like, why am I reading text messages? This is boring. But I really felt a connection there.
You can tell they're old as well because like the texts were really big on the phone.
Typing with one finger.
Yeah. Huge.
He is 60.
I think another great scene which we kind of talked about before, but the gridiron scene on the beach.
Wow.
One Republic.
One Republic, I ain't worried.
What
Fucking
game
cheap.
are they playing though as well? Because they're playing they're playing with two balls
Two
at the same
balls,
time.
offense and defense.
It's crazy. Very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, great scene. When
Obviously, why all the females have gone to see this film.
and they're playing in jeans. They roll up their jeans like they're
Why are they in
3/4.
denim?
It's so weird.
in denim.
Denim rolled up jeans.
Yeah.
We don't have our lockers nearby where we can get in our board shorts. Let's wear our jeans.
I was seeing some behind the scenes stuff. And they're literally in between takes. They've got weights and they're lifting
really?
weights just to get a pump. And then
Yeah.
you've got some like assistant putting oil all over their chest and stuff, so it looks better on
So
screen.
American, that scene.
Well, they did it in the first one with the volleyball.
Yeah.
So I was like, they have to do it in this one.
No, it's pretty sick though, because before that scene, you could tell that the team was slightly disjointed and
Yeah.
they weren't really like working well together. But after that, it was smooth sailing and everyone was on board with what they were trying to do.
It brought everyone together.
Yeah.
I wrote in my phone, this is another quote on my notes. I wrote, "Everyone's so jacked, what the fuck?"
This is what you were typing.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
Well, because like they're all so like fit. Glenn Powell is just a
Glenn
tank.
Powell, man. Glenn Powell.
And he's also a
Hangman.
dick at this
Holy
point.
shit.
His training regime
Yeah.
is on YouTube if you want to go have a look at it. It's insane.
It's fucked. So that was a good, like, just visually pleasing scene. What about Penny and Maverick's little romance?
I saw your notes and you didn't like it, Spencer.
No, like while we're here, Jennifer Connelly obviously.
Wow.
Ollie mentioned Beautiful Mind. She might be one of the best love interests
She's
in
incredible.
film,
Yeah.
and she's only been in those two that I can really think of.
Yeah.
As a real love interest. I think I'm in love with her personally. But I just like you could have cut her scenes out and it not really be that all that important. It was more so for Cruz to really speak about what was going on with him and his struggles. Like that's all she was really there for, I think.
What do you mean?
Like when they got together and they were lying in bed, that's when Cruz really just said what he was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. Also, she was manning that bar all by herself. There was at least 100 people in there, man.
There were thousands in that bar.
What
It's
about
some
the rule?
employees,
What about
man.
the rules that they have? You can't put your phone on the bar,
Yep.
and then
Or
you
you-
can't insult a Navy officer, and then you got to shout the whole round.
There are hundreds of people. That would cost
very
thousands
harsh.
of
I
dollars.
know, how did he settle that bill?
And he comes in. He comes in with just like a couple of notes of cash. The next time, like, there's a lot more. There should be a lot more.
What
than
are they
that.
drinking?
Yeah. How much are those
Postmix?
drinks costing?
Post mix legit.
Also, like, what's the wait time for a drink? Like a few hours?
No, they've got me and you. They got the QR
Oh,
codes
true.
at each table.
Oh, man.
man,
That's
yeah.
so funny.
But I did think like while she was obviously who Tom Cruise was pouring all of his emotion into, I thought these emotional beats really made that last 20, 30 minutes like so much more impactful.
100%.
Well, I thought he was definitely going to die
Yeah, me too.
At least twice.
because I remember at the start when they first like hire him and he's first speaking to John Hamm, he was like, "This isn't a mission." Tom Cruise was like, "This isn't a mission someone comes back from." And it just seemed like he was getting ready to
setting
say
up.
goodbye to Jennifer Connelly and to all the younger pilots as well. So the whole time I thought, yeah, he's gonna die. He's gonna sacrifice himself for Rooster, and that's like his.
That's
whole,
going to be,
that's his arc.
That's his arc. Yeah.
I was looped in on that as well. I think that's probably why they had it, to make you think that he needed a reason to come back. or
Yeah.
something to come back to because he's like all alone. But I thought some of it was funny. Like he goes to a house and she just like leaves the door open to like, obviously he's coming in. Another thing was like, I wrote this in my phone, another quote. They have this like mature sex scene. It's just like these like transitions. They're not like doing anything. They're just talking.
Yeah.
He's just lying a bit upright and she's stroking his chest.
Yeah, and that's it. They like get with each other a few times.
Do we really want to see though a 60-year-old
No, we
Tom
probably-
Cruise sex scene? I don't really want to see
Probably
that.
not, but I just
If
I
he
just
can
thought it was
withstand
funny.
G-forces, he's obviously got a bit of an engine still.
But he doesn't really like have much sort of love
In real
scenes
life?
No.
Oh.
Or maybe Scientology and
Yeah,
stuff.
he's a bit weird.
But like in movies, like I feel like he doesn't really go for that sort of.
Obviously, Emily
Thing.
Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow. There's a bit of a love interest there,
Yeah.
but no, not of this like kind of lying in bed kind of nature.
No.
He had Jerry Maguire, but that wasn't really action with Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
that was
true.
probably his biggest one, and then Eyes Wide Shut that he did with Nicole
Yeah.
Kidman when they were married.
Yeah.
That's a very weird movie.
Very weird. I thought another funny part, last thing, the daughter comes home and he has to get out of the house and he jumps off the roof and then
She's
he
just standing
stands
there.
up and looks inside and she's just there. Like the whole cinema bursts out laughing. It was-
Good comedy, like
Good
while
comedy.
you mentioned that, yeah, like good bit of cheese and like
yeah.
it felt like very like 80s,
Mm.
like it was an 80s film because there's a lot of cheesy one-liners, comedy, like when he hits Mac 10 and that guy stands up out of his chair and he's like,
Put that in your Pentagon budget.
yeah, giving it to Ed Harris.
Like it wasn't like cringe. It was like just a little like laugh
Just
here and
feel
there.
good.
Yeah, it was good. I thought another one that was good, which was earlier, was they had just like a good flashback because you see Goose is like playing the piano at the bar.
Yeah.
And they have a flashback of Goose and it starts to like bring some nostalgia back.
Yeah.
And it just added like another element. And of course you got the Hans Zimmer score just like getting your feels up.
Tom Cruise is standing out there like
For
hearing Great
ages.
Balls. It's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when Maverick at this point, he's done the mission in record time, but no one else is like ready? All the students, if you will, like they're not up to the same caliber. But they set off on the mission because it gets brought forward or something by like a week,
Yeah, they bring
Is
it
that
I
right?
think 2 weeks.
something like that.
Yeah.
And again, that just is like another reversal. But they set off on the mission, and as you said, they come around the bend, and it just starts to build this tension. I think one thing I wanted to talk about is interesting that the enemy isn't named.
Yeah.
You don't know who it is. It's just like this uranium facility. Do you reckon that was like tactical because of what's
Well,
going on?
They did it in the original as well. They didn't name the enemy, and I think it was just. I mean, I think it's just kind of smart. Like, let people just go to the cinema and not have
Yeah.
not have anything tied down with another nation.
I
think
agree.
Yeah,
just-
we don't always need to hate Russia. Like,
or the Middle East
this
or
isn't
something.
Rocky 4 where we just like need to hate. You know, like let's just have an enemy.
Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
I agree. Like we didn't need to know, and it was still so good. You're
Yeah.
so invested in it that they have to
You didn't
blow.
know.
up.
You didn't have to know like the villains' motivations or like get
No.
their backstory or why they're doing it. You just know
Yeah.
they're bad and they've got this, and you got to destroy it.
Yeah. I think when they set off as well, there's a scene where you got Tom Cruise in his jet and there's like 3 other jets around, and it's just like fucking hell, like how have they actually like filmed this thing?
That's so cool.
Yeah,
So
so,
cool.
they think that, well, officially, like Tom Cruise flew that like old World War II plane around, like that's his plane that they
He
flew
owns
at the
it.
end. Yeah, like that's his plane. But
so
as
weird.
for the military planes, like he wasn't actually allowed to fly those, so they
Oh,
all
really?
had stunt flyers flying those, and they were just like in the back seat filming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
they're
interesting.
obviously like worth millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise flying that.
So good. And then at this point, they're going through the course, and these missiles start firing. And there's just so many missiles. You're like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? And they're like popping flares, music's building, and Maverick, I think his plane gets shot down. Is that right?
Yes, he.
Oh, he has to eject.
Rooster's about to get shot and he can see, and then he intercepts it and he gets shot down.
Yes.
That shot where he does the brake. He brakes, the plane goes nose up and flies over, and you see
That was mad.
is the most insane shot of the whole movie.
So
and
good.
then he gets shot down.
Is that when he's shot the missile into the thing and he has to go up?
No, it's where there's someone on his tail, and he's the only way I can get out of this is if I go like this
and comes back.
Yeah.
and the camera's up the cockpit looking back.
Yeah, that was fucked.
It's ridiculous.
It's insane. And your heart is pumping out of your chest.
What they did a really good job, I thought, as well, is the amount of times where, you got, I feel like as an audience, you really understood the layout of the mission because they did it so many times, in the trial.
Yeah.
So you understood, all right, they got to do this and they got to get to there. All right, that's one miracle down. Now they got to do this. So you always knew it was coming, but it was still on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
Because they just did it over and over again for the middle part of the movie. So I thought that was a really good payoff.
100%. So they do all the miracles, and then Maverick's about to be shot. As you said, Rooster saves him, and then he ends up having to eject out, and he lands in the snow. And I thought this was really cool because it's oh, what? You haven't seen Top Gun on land before?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Surely he's dead here. And then the helicopter comes in, and it's him against the helicopter, and it's he's so dead.
It's him against it.
And then it's just some movie bullshit where Rooster comes in. It's fuck, that's always going to happen.
Yeah, and then Rooster comes in, fucks the helicopter up, and you're just fucking hell, how are they going to get out of this? And then Rooster has to eject out of his plane, and he lands on the snow as well. And they have this funny scene where Maverick just tackles him.
Yeah.
And
what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? You shouldn't have done that.
He's like, what were you thinking? He goes, you told me not to think, just do. He goes,
Yeah.
oh, fair enough. When he said that, my whole cinema started cracking up.
Yeah. And it's that's another thing. You got this insane mission, but they can still just throw a little bit of banter in there as well.
Yeah, I think on top of what Costi said as well, you understood exactly the parameters of the mission because they did it so many times. But I don't think there's ever been an experience in a cinema where you are just so invested in 6 minutes of a scene.
Yeah.
And I noticed it the second time I saw it. It's if you go back and watch it, there is no soundtrack at all when they deploy.
No.
Until they start getting chased, there is zero soundtrack. It's just plane sounds.
Yeah.
Was it diegetic?
And clock
Clock ticking and just Ed Harris just talking basically.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it so much more intense.
Well, because it's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. And then what about when they have to infiltrate the base, get the old plane?
That was mad.
I just let it slide. Look, it was a third act I didn't expect, and it was
I didn't expect that at all, which I liked though.
Yeah.
I liked how Cruz was in the plane and he was barking orders at Rooster, go and turn the lights off, go and do this, go and do that. It was
And there's
mad.
a million lights, and he's oh, what?
Yeah, and all these all the enemies are just walking up and down, just not seeing.
it's time. It's time to start running.
There's no enemies there. They're just fucking walking around in the
Just
background.
stormtroopers.
Yeah,
They climb
stormtroopers.
out of that big thing, and then
The runway, which is just destroyed, but they still somehow
did they
get out of it.
Also, they have to get up. They have to lift off and invert through this gap.
Yeah, through the bridge or something. Yeah.
What?
play on though, right?
Play on.
We've got our issues with the movie later. Let's say them.
we'll dive into those. But then they get into this dogfight. So it's Rooster and Maverick, and they're in this old plane against these what do they call the new ones?
Yeah, fifth generation fighters. Yeah.
And you're oh, they're gone now. And I think they luckily kill one, and it's a 1v1. And then they run out of ammo.
Yeah.
And then they're both saying fuck. And Maverick's oh, I'm sorry, kid.
Eject. Yeah.
Eject. Doesn't the eject not work or something?
Yeah, the eject. Yeah, it doesn't work. So
And then
they're oh
Rooster's-
shit, they're gonna die.
Yeah, and then Rooster's oh, fuck. And then you're they're gone here. And then who comes in?
Hangman, the great man.
Oh, man.
Well, because
What a turnaround.
What a turnaround.
From where he was at the start of the
'Cause he
year
didn't
to
get
saving
picked.
everybody.
Yeah, he was the emergency guy, person on standby.
Despite being the most talented.
yeah.
I know. I thought that was weird. It was he wasn't team leader. So does that not does that mean he has to stay on the carrier, or can they put him in the mission? He's still the second best fighter.
bizarre.
It was all about his attitude. Didn't have the right attitude.
It was more so they kept him on the carrier so he could do that.
Turn it
last
around,
bit.
yeah.
But when he came in, I was like genuinely like fucking just heart pumping, like fucking oath. Like he got him.
Yeah, so good.
Let's
So
go.
good.
Like, yeah. People were just cheering. But that was such a good scene. And then they land on the carrier. Music is, celebratory music just blaring. And everyone's just hugging each other.
Yeah,
And it's
massive callback to the first one where they're just all mosh pitting and shaking hands and nodding.
Do they always mosh pit after a successful mission?
Apparently, yeah. That's carrier etiquette.
Yeah. This is where my favorite quote came in. Maverick's like, I think Goose and Hangman are talking, and Rooster says, sorry, not
Rooster
Goose.
and Hangman, yeah.
Rooster and Hangman. Rooster says, it's what my dad would have done. And I was like about to cry.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well,
fuck.
I think I liked as well as like throughout the movie, Tom Cruise was always like, "Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me, Goose." And then Rooster at the end was like, "Talk to me, Dad." I was like, "Oh, that got me in the."
Did he
feels.
say that?
Yeah, he said
Oh,
when he was in the jet, he was like, "Talk to me, Dad."
Oh, yeah.
So this might actually be a good time to mention like I read this morning, this is just some internet stuff I quickly went past. That Talk to Me Goose, like right after the opening montage in the film, they then like cut down to the lower part of the carrier where Tom Cruise is looking out to the water, like at the end of the film. And he says, "Talk to me, Goose." But that was originally meant to be at like the start of the film.
Oh, really?
Standing there like, "Talk to me, Goose." And then they were going to like go back to the start and then just work their way up there. But I thought it was good they saved the "Talk to me, Goose" till the end.
Yeah. Well, it's very like kind of Star Wars-esque. Just like getting that sort of like, I don't know, the Force.
Yeah, it's literally like an infiltrating the Death Star mission.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you go back and watch Star Wars,
It's
what it
actually
is. Like they
that's
cut
literally
through the Death Star, like the narrow. It's a Death Star mission.
Yeah, but so good.
Arguably, also, it's a Beautiful Mind spin-off with Ed Harris and Jennifer Connelly.
Just missing Paul
That's a bit of
Bettany.
a stretch.
Maverick's
No,
actually got schizophrenia. And
Russell
he's been
Crowe
dreaming.
is also one of the pilots.
Russell Crowe's character in A Beautiful Mind was just like
Imagine things out there.
imagining all this movie.
This was one of Russell Crowe's dreams.
It's a Beautiful Mind Top Gun universe. They're gonna
Beautiful
make
Mind Maverick.
Multiverse, yeah.
yeah, multiverse. Oh, good. All right, let's get into the bad parts. There's a few gripes. It sounds like you've got Dark.
Dark. Worst parts. Well, I thought like I read this was like the most unrealistic part was that they all knew the words to a 1957 Great Balls of Fire
Great
song.
Balls of Fire,
like
2022.
Like
do you think
20,
do you
30.
think it's a very like it's a popular Navy song? That's
Could
why
be.
they all knew it because it was a Navy bar.
could be, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. Weird.
That's my only reasoning there.
I was just there for the ride. Also, Miles Teller has a great voice.
I'm in no way saying I hate the film.
Just critiquing.
I'm just nitpicking at this point.
I had a bit of a weird one. Like, who is Penny? Was she even in the first
So
one?
apparently, in the first movie, they mentioned that Tom Cruise's character ran away with an admiral's daughter, and she's
Okay.
the daughter of that admiral.
Ah.
So yeah, if you
Did
watch
they ever get married or like?
no, so if you
Split up?
watched like the first Top Gun right before Top Gun 2, there would have been like a little bit of a payoff for you.
Right.
But yeah, I only knew that because I listened to a podcast after and they mentioned that.
But didn't he end up with the blonde woman?
Yeah. Oh, but they also I don't know. It was weird. They mentioned in the first one that he ran off with some admiral's daughter,
Oh,
and she's the admiral's daughter,
Right.
And that like he left her for the original, like the blonde woman in the original one. Yeah, it's all confusing.
okay.
So
Weird.
yeah, unless you really like were a massive Top Gun fan,
Yeah.
then it would have been a big payoff. But I still thought it was good, even
Yeah.
though most people wouldn't have known the backstory of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was my only short straw, the whole Penny thing. But like at the same time, I really did think it added to the whole like,
Yeah.
the awesomeness of the movie and like them at the end getting with each other as the sun was setting. It was just like, wow, that's a pretty cool way to end a movie.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. No, look, that's my only bad part. I think another I thought another best character in the film were the flight radars. Because they just like made you understand so well.
Yeah.
Like usually those like interface shots can be really boring, and like when you're cross cutting back and forth to like a control room in films, you can be so bored by that. Like you've got people just yelling at a screen, at a screen, like being like, "Oh my god, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it?" But you're very invested in it.
Oh, 100%.
I thought John Hamm's like turnaround from the start of the film when he was very like pessimistic about the whole mission to at the end when they did show the shots in the room there, and he was like cheering for Maverick and cheering for everyone. That was a pretty cool change, I reckon.
The only thing I didn't like is I would have liked to see more Ed Harris. Like he was in he's in like 1.5 scenes. It's like you got such a good actor there. Like use him a bit more. That was like literally it's such a small thing, but it's like that's like only my only gripe with the movie because I like it so much.
I think he was a bit unused, but just thinking about him, what about the scene where Maverick's not meant to take off in the Blackbird and Ed Harris is just standing at the end of the runway and he's
an
just
unbelievable shot.
Yeah. And he's seeing this like high speed military plane flying at him and he just stands there and cops the like dust in his face and the building like lifts its roof.
Apparently that actually happened as well.
There's a
roof actually
there's a
came off
behind the
that building.
scenes shot of that where they're just like stand as still as possible as this thing flies over.
How doesn't he move?
Why doesn't he move? Why doesn't he get like
pressing to
pushed
the ground
back
so hard?
It's so weird. Or maybe he was like chained into the ground or something.
Tied up.
Yeah, that was
He's
a
not
weird.
that old guy.
But on the radars, just quickly, there's the scene where I think they're getting out of the facility in the old plane and they're like, oh, there's 2 5th generation fighters, but they're going away. And it's like, oh no, they come back. And you're like, fuck. Yeah. And it's just like little things like that.
Yeah, I think they did a very good job as well. Like just little things making the stakes seem really high. Like they made a real point of saying that the 5th generation fighters were just way better than anything the US had.
Yeah.
So like you actually thought like, yeah, they could die here. So usually they really half-ass it with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, I actually didn't have too many gripes with it. Like some of it was a bit unrealistic, them not dying and no one actually on that point. I think when Coyote, I think blacks out, it would have actually been better if he died. Because then you would have been like, oh shit, this mission is fucked. Like, that would have added another element, I think.
I agree.
Like, they needed more stakes other than it being so impossible, I thought. What do you guys think?
I just thought a Maverick death would have been a good payoff. Like, I mean, I still really love the movie, but I think just that, like, him sacrificing himself for Rooster, I think that just would have been a really good payoff because then it showed Rooster how much he cared for him, and I think that would have been good. Even though it would have been tough because he had that relationship with Jennifer Connelly's character.
It's
just something about that.
Now thinking about it, it's very much like No Time to Die, where it's like you can either like have him like half die and they rescue him, or you can like kill him off like Daniel Craig and like have a big finish. And I think I kind of prefer the Top Gun Maverick route, where you think he's gonna die, and he gets shot down, but then he's still sweet.
Yeah.
I don't think Daniel Craig had to die.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, they give you something to make you want them to stay alive.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you going to give you the satisfaction that they can have both, like staying alive and the person? But I think, it's interesting either way. And I thought, as I said before, like, I came into this thinking, fuck, this is just going to be like a Fast and the Furious sequel, like fucking squeeze everything you can. But I was just blown away by it. And I remember at the end, because it's such a cheerful ending, I think we just looked at each other in the cinema and we were just like, that was fucked.
It is smiles the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one thing I did when I went back to my car is I actually recorded a mailbag of my reaction to the movie. So listen to this. Man, Top Gun Maverick. Holy shit, that was so good. Feel so happy after that. Obviously back with another mailbag for the podcast. Man, that was so good. It was such a good movie. Such a thrilling story. Filming was insane.
Breathing so heavily.
Can't even put into words how good that was. The ending genuinely made me believe that
anything is possible in this world. Oh my God. Insane film. Go watch it if you haven't. Oh, wow.
Yep. So that was my reaction.
Yeah.
I think, I was just so surprised by it. So
It's also
good.
inspiring. Like I
It
remember
is.
coming out of that movie and going like, "Wow, like what to do next?"
Should I join? Should I join the
all these
Navy?
people, all these people
Yeah.
training their ass off for like this massive adventure, and they pull it off. So it's actually sort of relatable. Like anything you can actually achieve what you want, really.
Yeah. No, it's a great message. And as you said, do you reckon this, because after the first movie, there was a huge increase in naval applications. Do you reckon that'll happen again?
Well, look, I just want to download Microsoft Flight Simulator personally and just fly. That's as close as I
Become a
reckon.
pilot.
That's as close as I
I saw a photo in America of a cinema, and this like Navy recruiter is literally sitting like outside the cinema, like where you buy the
No
tickets.
way.
Yeah, next to the Top Gun stand, like giving out flyers. Hey, you just saw the movie. Do you want to join the Navy?
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, I think it'll have like a massive cultural effect, and just on like films as well. Like obviously a movie that's gonna crack the 1 billion by the looks of it. I think there are gonna be aspects of this that are just gonna be milked and milked. I don't know if they'll do like a sequel. Like, what do
I
you
hope
guys
they
reckon?
don't. I hope they
I
don't.
really hope
for
they
it.
finish on that. Like I don't think you can top it.
No.
Like, would you do a Top Gun Rooster?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it.
I'd do that.
I don't mind it. Maybe like a Rooster and Hangman movie.
Like
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. Rooster and Hangman.
I think a Rooster Hangman movie where they go off on a mission together. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do like training. They just do an actual mission together.
That'd
They
be
go
cool.
out.
Yeah, I think it would just obviously would have to be done really well. But Tom Cruise obviously is just the main draw for this, and
Yeah.
it's just incredible, like the run he's had really, and
Oh.
that he will continue to have for the next
It's like
10 years probably.
these legacy sequels as well that they're doing. Like I just saw Jurassic World last week, which is just so bad. But
Yeah.
they brought back the original trio.
Yeah.
So they like Hollywood. They like doing. All right, what's a movie that was popular 30 years ago? How can we revive that? So I
Yeah,
think they're just
yeah,
going
yeah.
to keep following that route until it fails.
Yeah, I
100%.
think the only thing that kind of gives me confidence is that, like, obviously this is a Paramount film, and I think Paramount have a much better track record with not overdoing things. I think their sequels have been really good. Whereas Universal and these other Hollywood studios will just milk it
100%.
all the way.
I heard that the studio wanted to do Top Gun shortly after the original, and Tom Cruise was like, no, I want to become a more complete actor. And then he went off and did all his like amazing stunt work.
Incredible.
And I remember watching this one and just being like, I was just like watching Tom Cruise. I was like, fuck, like he is like a megastar. Like it's insane what he can do and how much he gets an audience.
Yeah.
Like how to entertain an audience, what is like good and bad.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think he's a top 5 movie star ever.
Yeah.
Like of all
Oh,
time.
100%.
Arguably.
Just because
yeah,
his mix of
arguably
like
top
acting,
3.
his ability to do like big box office movies. I think he's got it all.
Has he ever been nominated for like a
Yeah, he's been nominated
Jerry Maguire?
3 times. Jerry Maguire, Born on the 4th of July, and then Magnolia.
yeah, just an insane.
He's good in Magnolia. I watched that recently.
Still haven't
Fucking
watched
hell.
it.
Very good.
So good.
But yeah, like I was going through like Paramount's top grossing films ever, and he's got 10 in the top 100. Like pretty much every film he's done since like 1990, since Mission Impossible started, basically.
Insane.
And then
And
he's got
Mission Impossible
2
next year.
parts.
It's gonna be
and-
so
and-
good.
And they've announced a Edge of Tomorrow sequel as well, which they'll be doing.
that'll be
So
fucking
he's
so
going to
good.
be nearly 70.
It's crazy that he's 60.
I
Yeah.
know.
60. It's ridiculous.
He looks 40.
He's going to be 7. Like I don't know whether he'll surely he's just. You reckon he'll retire or he'll just transition back
I
to
reckon
drama?
I reckon he'll be like Clint Eastwood. He'll go till he's like
he'll work
90.
until he's dead.
He would be a good
Honestly,
director,
until he's
wouldn't he?
Properly washed.
He's so washed. It's like Tom, like you can't do this stunt.
Clint
He's
Eastwood
like,
can
no,
barely
I'm doing
walk
it.
now, man.
Dives out of space.
Can
Like,
direct a film, to be fair to him.
Give him some credit there, man.
oh my god, that's so good. Yeah, I don't know if they'll make another one, but they've handled it well. So
Yeah, I'm just very skeptical of the whole Hollywood thing, and like just anything that makes this kind of money. I think you could flip a coin and they'll probably make a
yeah,
10 sequels of it.
yeah, for sure. We'll see what happens. Any other final takes?
Just a great movie.
Great
film.
movie. I love.
I just love this so much.
Yeah, it was honestly incredible. I loved how there were like different aspects of the film all in one. Like you had little snippets of love in there, like action, thriller, and then like uncertainty as whether they'll come back or not. And I thought that like holistic type to the movie was pretty cool. Like,
Well, yeah, it had everything. It had laughs. It had near tears. It had heart pumping. All right, so that is a wrap for Top Gun Maverick. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cinemates, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. Huge thank you to Tom, Spencer, and Ollie for coming on the podcast. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you, Omelette.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Omelette.
No worries. As always, please let us know what you want to hear about in future episodes. And if you want to send in a mailbag or do an elevator pitch to me, send us a DM on Instagram or TikTok at cinemaze_. Otherwise, we'll catch you for the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cinemates. Make sure to follow us and leave a review on your chosen streaming platforms. Also, check out our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channel for more Cinemaze content. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge Australia's First Nations people as the traditional owners and custodians of the land and pay respect to the Cammeraygal people of the Eora Nation upon whose country Cinemaze is based. We honour the storytelling and culture of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities across Australia. Also, in the spirit of chatting with mates, remember it's always important to check in with those around you. Whether it's friends, family, or colleagues, sometimes they may be going through a hard time, and chatting with them may reassure them that they aren't alone. If you or anyone you know is ever struggling, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.